Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a video that I go through my Wallhack Certified Tier List, a lot of the IEMs from my list for Call of Duty in particular. I know I said this video would be coming for Rainbow Six Siege, and I'm definitely going to talk about Siege because I think the top picks of mine do carry over very well for Rainbow Six Siege. I do want to just say at the front of this video, I do test everything on a Topping DX9. That is a very good amp DAC, and yes, amp DACs matter. If you're somebody who's on an extreme budget, you're using an Apple dongle, yes, you're going to be losing out on things from a higher tier amp DAC, such as overall clarity, depth, separation, the airiness between notes. It does have a crucial impact moving to something that is a little bit better. No, you don't need to spend the amount of money I did on the Topping DX9. I think something like a Topping DX3 Pro Plus handles the job at typically you can find it under $200, or the SMSL C200, the iFi Zendag V2. The only thing with the iFi Zendag V2 or V3, it does add a little bit too much warmth. I do prefer things that are a little bit cleaner, a little bit clearer, like the Topping DX3 and the Topping sound in general. Also, noise floor very low on the Topping DX3 Pro Plus and the Topping DX9. They handle sensitive IEMs very well. I want to start off with an IEM I have not really reviewed yet. This is the 7Hz Aurora. The Aurora is a interesting driver setup. It has one microplanar and one dynamic driver. I do think that for music, it offers a pleasant listening experience, but getting into Call of Duty and even in other titles, Apex, Valorant, etc., one of the issues is what you'll hear in this video is separation and layering, and particularly you'll have a sense of that if you've ever been third-partied, fourth-partied in Apex Legends, and a lot of people are shooting and you just cannot hear anything that's happening around you, and you're losing things directionally because of the resounding amount of things that are coming at you. Things aren't separating through the mix, and things in the same region are not layering well together. It's becoming mishmashed. The Aurora does have a issue with that, so I'm going to be putting them down below, especially for Call of Duty. The next IEM that I actually do find quite good in most other titles, the Fiio Audio Hype 4, is a 2-dynamic driver for balanced armature IEM. This IEM is beautiful, and not just for gaming, but for music as well. And if you have this, certainly it'll work okay for Call of Duty. One of the issues with the Fiio Audio Hype 4 I've noticed in COD, though, is it's kind of like a very blended tuning. The things that are occurring in COD, like footsteps, people above you, people below you, people slamming through doors, and some of the presence region, people walking through grass, sliding, etc., reviving, don't come through that well in terms of emphasis. Everything's kind of a blended feel. And that hurts a little bit in the overall sense of depth perception of people above me, below me, and around me. And it does just fall behind the other IEMs in this video. Another IEM I have not reviewed yet on the channel. Just what a beautiful unboxing experience of what you get with the IO Volare. The IEM is absolutely beautiful with a really nice sparkly silver glitter chassis and then that nice gray, black, lighter gray faceplate. The unboxing, I mean, you get so much with this IEM, and it feels like a $600 unboxing experience. At its price point, it does perform well in almost every title that I've played with the Volare, but it just doesn't excel. It lacks a lot of airiness. It lacks clarity in the space for depth perception. It just feels like things fade away from me a little bit too much. I would put the Orchestra Lites at about the same point as the Volare, and for the price differential, I just think the Orchestra Lites probably make more sense. Both of these perform well in every game that I've played with the two IEMs, but the Orchestra Lite being $250 compared to $600, and performing ever so slightly better in Call of Duty, I tip my hat to the Orchestra Lite. The only thing, though, is the Orchestra Lite, of course, doesn't come with all the goodies. It is quite large and lacks in overall ergonomics, and its tip, the fishmouth nozzle, is very big, and it is not vented, so it will feel like somebody just sticking their fingers in your ears. It's just not the most comfortable IEM compared to everything else on the table. I would say my next IEM moving through the list here would probably be the new Simgot Dream. I think that the Dream so far, from what I'm hearing in Call of Duty, it does provide a tuning where things are a little bit more emphasized throughout the mix, but it just does lack in separation and layering and overall clarity in comparison to something like the Volare and the Orchestra Lite. Because of that, what it would have been one step higher, I think, falls at about the same level. And guys, again, everything on the table, exceptionally good for gaming, for a multitude of titles. But in COD in particular, it lacks a little bit of clarity. And when you do have a lot of things going on, you can feel the separation and the layering falling behind, and you begin to lose details of things happening around you. I do have the Intuaura Purples. This, I think, goes one step, if not 2 steps higher than the Orchestra Lite. It is somewhat a very analytical and very clear tuning, but it does have a bass impact and bass clarity and bass performance that shines, in my opinion, over the Volare and over the Orchestra Lites. This is a rather expensive IEM again. It does have a very nice lightweight fit, small fit, and it is a single dynamic driver, but a single dynamic driver that performs exceptionally well. Again, a very clear tuning, but one that still has a nice feel on bass and a treble extension that just provides so much air. But I do feel that as opposed to something like the Orchestra Lite and the Volare that feels like sound is kind of pushed away from you a little bit too much, the soundstage feels like a more accurate presentation of things being close enough to you, not far enough away, where things are happening with a lot more emphasis, clarity, and impact in comparison to the Dream, the Volare, as well as the Orchestra Lite. I would say the next IEM on the list would be a close call between the Intuaura Splendor and the Supermix 4. The Supermix 4 I recently reviewed in the Simgot Showdown. It is a really good IEM, I think, for almost every title I've thrown at it so far. It's got great separation, great layering, and a soundstage that, again, isn't too far away, isn't too close, where you're pulling all of those details at a really nice impact for your reactionary time to feel as though it's a little bit increased, or feeling the necessity of paying attention to one thing over another. It makes the depth perception feel a little bit better and makes your reaction to things happening around you feel better. It's just a very clean IEM that does perform well in Call of Duty. The Intuaura Splendor 2, I do feel performs a little bit better than the Purple, but a little questionable. I think if you like that clarity, that analytical feel, you might prefer the Purple. The Splendor 2 has a lot of bass impact. It's going to be the warmest. It's going to be the most bass out of everything on the table, at least as it feels as though its impact is hitting you, in my opinion. The Splendor 2, though, despite that, does have great treble extension as well. So despite that bass impact, it does have a great sense of air, a nice soundstage. It has beautiful imaging, beautiful separation for a single dynamic driver. It just performs like an absolute beast. Again, it's just going to be a bassy feel. And if you're somebody who wants something that feels maybe a little bit more tame, a little bit less sub-bass and mid-bass, the Supermix 4 and the Intuaura Purple are fantastic. I do have my Collab IEM here, and I feel like I just can't really get into it too much because it's my baby. I feel like it would be kind of I don't know, unethical to kind of put this on my list, but I almost feel like I have to talk about it a little bit because I do think that for its price point, I think it's going to fall close to the Splendor 2 for its price point. I think for its overall presentation in Call of Duty, it performs exceptionally well. and it would be something, in my opinion, and again, I'm biased because it's mine, and I know you guys are probably going to be like, why is he even bringing these up? But I do think if you guys hold out for the Collab IEM, you'll be pleasantly surprised, or at least I hope that you'll be pleasantly surprised. And I would probably put it at or around the same level as things that I rate very highly, like the Intuaura Splendor 2 and the Supermix 4. I do think that overall for Call of Duty and for Rainbow Six Siege, I think my top pick is the Yanyin Canon 2. The Yanyin Canon 2 is a beautiful IEM. The bass, the mid bass are a little bit accentuated, and it does make the stage feel a little bit, it makes the tuning feel a little bit warmer. The bass feels kind of velvety. But all of the sub bass and mid bass in Call of Duty have so much presentation that when somebody's running above you or on the same level as you and you're getting those dark, thocky steps, it's just cutting through the mix so nicely that the depth perception and the reading on really what you need to focus on, particularly when there's a lot going on as well, it's just such a beautiful read. The separation, the layering are absolutely fantastic. I've never had an issue in Call of Duty where too much was going on, precision airstrikes, mortar strikes, people shooting, my teammates shooting. I never had an issue of feeling like I was having instances of not hearing things as a result. Of course, Call of Duty, the engine is kind of whack. You always have these occlusion issues. But the Yanyin Canon 2, I think, performs at the tippy top. I do think that the next row is very, very close, and you might prefer something on that row in comparison to the Yanyin Canon 2, depending on your tuning preferences. The Intuaura Purple as well, I do think is worth almost being at that same row. But again, it's a tuning where you lose out a little bit on the emphasis and those things kind of pulling towards you with a greater read. But it is a beautiful IEM and a beautiful single dynamic driver. Everything on the table, again, is exceptionally good. But for Rainbow Six Siege, for Call of Duty, the Yanyin Canon 2, I think, is a superb performer and an absolutely phenomenal recommendation for anybody looking for a really nice IEM. It's got a beautiful faceplate. It's got beautiful ergonomics. I do think that if you are wanting to try something, let's say you have the Yanyin Canon 2, you're looking to try something a little bit different, the next row, I think, is absolutely amazing. And I think even if you were to want to go a little bit cheaper, which I think everything in the next row is going to be cheaper than the Yanyin Canon 2, I think that it's right there at the cusp of the Yanyin Canon 2, and a lot of people might even prefer it more than the Yanyin Canon 2. I think the Intuaura Purple, because of its price, I would definitely point you guys into this row or even the Yanyin Canon 2. But if you really want a nice single dynamic driver that just has that analytical clarity and a really nice punch in that bass still, and just a really big sound stage, great imaging, great separation. It really is a nice IEM, and I think it performs very well in all games that I've played so far. But I would put it a little bit lower on my tier list than the IEMs above it. Now, the creme of the crop is, and you guys probably thought I was done, but the Fiio FA19, I would put above everything else. The Fiio FA19 is an expensive IEM, though. It is $1,000, and do you need to go any higher than this row, than the Yanyin Canon 2? I don't think that you do, but you do get benefits with the Fiio FA19. Just the performance of the drivers, the a little bit better separation and layering, the just beautiful resolving sound out of what Fiio has done with the FA19. If you're an IEM enthusiast, it's something that you can look at. I think it performs so good in everything that I've played. I think it's a top performer in Call of Duty. But again, the gains for strictly competitive purposes, I just don't think that the price jump makes sense. But if you're an IEM enthusiast and you're looking for all of those other aspects that may come with going a little bit higher, the Fiio FA19 performs exceptionally well for competitive purposes and really just knocked it out of the park in terms of its overall tuning, its resolution, and performance. So guys, a lot of good options on this table. Such a home run for a lot of these IEMs, but that's my ranking. That's where I am with my list for COD, for Rainbow Six Siege. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments. But that's it for this one, guys. I hope it helped. If it did, please leave a sub to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next review. Peace.